I told my son he doesn't have to hug family if he doesn't want to. My mother called me a terrible father in front of everyone at Thanksgiving dinner. It started when my 7-year-old son Caleb walked through my parents' front door. My mom immediately opened her arms wide and said, "Come give grandma a big hug." Caleb took a step back and looked at me. I nodded at him. "It's okay, buddy. You don't have to if you don't want to." My mother's smile disappeared instantly. "Excuse me?" I crouched down to Caleb's level. "Do you want to hug grandma?" He shook his head slowly. "Okay, that's fine. Why don't you go find your cousins in the basement?" He ran off before my mother could say anything else. The second he was out of earshot, she turned on me. "What was that?" "He's my grandson. I'm entitled to a hug." I kept my voice calm. Nobody's entitled to physical affection from a child, not even family. My dad walked in from the kitchen. "What's going on?" "Your son is teaching Caleb that family doesn't matter." My mom's voice was shaking with anger. "He told him he doesn't have to hug me." My dad looked at me like I just announced I was joining a cult. "You're raising him to be cold. You're raising him to disrespect his elders." I tried to explain. "I'm teaching him that his body belongs to him, that he gets to decide who touches him." That seemed pretty important to me. My mother laughed. "This is that liberal nonsense, isn't it? Bodily autonomy for 7-year-olds? He's a child. He does what adults tell him to do." My wife Laura stepped in beside me. "Actually, we've been teaching him this since he was 4. It's about consent." My mother rolled her eyes. "Consent? For hugs? What's next? Does he need to sign a waiver before I can kiss his forehead?" Other family members started trickling in. My aunt, my uncle, my 2 cousins and their kids. They all heard my mother loudly complaining about how I was ruining her grandson. Within 20 minutes, the whole family knew. My uncle pulled me aside in the hallway. "Look, I get it. You want to be a progressive parent or whatever, but you're embarrassing your mother in her own house." I told him this wasn't about politics. This was about my son feeling safe. He scoffed. "Safe from his grandmother? Come on." Dinner was tense. My mother kept making passive-aggressive comments. Some children actually appreciate their families. Some children are raised with manners. Caleb sat next to me, eating quietly. He hadn't said much since we arrived. After dinner, my cousin's husband cornered me in the kitchen. "You know what your problem is? You're creating a kid who can't function in the real world. In the real world, people shake hands. People hug. You can't opt out of everything." I was about to respond when I heard my mother's voice from the living room. "Caleb, honey, come here. Give grandma a hug. You'll make her feel better." I walked in and saw my son frozen in the middle of the room. Everyone was staring at him. My mother had her arms open, waiting. Caleb looked at me. His eyes were filling with tears. I walked over and picked him up. "We're leaving." My mother exploded. "You're being ridiculous. It's a hug. What could possibly be wrong with a hug from his grandmother?" I stopped at the door and turned around. Because 3 months ago, Caleb told his therapist that someone at school was touching him in ways that made him uncomfortable. He didn't tell us sooner because he thought he had to let adults touch him, because that's what he'd been taught. The room went completely silent. He's learning that his no matters, that his boundaries matter, that he doesn't owe anyone access to his body just because they're family or because they're older or because they asked nicely. My mother's face went white. I looked at my dad, my uncle, my aunt, all of them standing there with their mouths open. The school handled the situation. The person was removed. Caleb is doing better now, but I will never again tell my son that he has to let someone touch him just to make them comfortable. We walked out. My mother called the next day crying and apologizing. She said she had no idea. She asked why I didn't tell her sooner. I told her the truth, because I didn't owe her an explanation. Caleb said no. That should have been enough.